Two things moving together at the same time feels like proof that one caused the other. And that feeling is where a lot of small business owners quietly lose money. You launch a feature and signups climb, so the feature works. You raise your price and revenue holds, so customers did not mind. Most of the time, you never check whether the thing you did actually moved the number, or whether it just rose alongside something else that did the real work. Today, I want to walk through the difference between correlation and causation, using founder-sized examples, so your next winning result does not quietly turn out to be luck. I am not a scientist. I am someone who runs small businesses and has been fooled by his own dashboard more times than I would like to admit. I have shipped changes on the strength of two lines that happened to rise together and paid for it later when the effect simply vanished. So this is less a lecture and more the checklist I use before I let a coincidence talk me into a decision. None of it needs software or statistics. What it needs is the habit of asking one more question before you believe your own good news. What correlation actually is? Correlation is just two things tending to move together. When one goes up, the other tends to go up or down in step with it. That is all the word claims. It is a pattern in the numbers, nothing more. Causation is the much stronger claim that one of those things actually made the other happen. That if you change the first, the second would move because of it. The whole trap is that our eyes see a correlation and our minds instantly upgrade it to causation, without ever asking for the evidence that the upgrade actually requires. Why your brain jumps to a cause? We are built to find stories, and the story needs a cause. When signups rise the week after you ship something, your brain hands you the tidy explanation for free, and it feels like insight rather than a guess. That instinct served us well for a long time, but it is exactly what a noisy business dashboard exploits. The more you want the change to have worked, the faster your mind will connect it to whatever moved, and the less likely you are to look for the boring explanation sitting quietly right next to it. The feature launch that fooled me, here is the shape of it. You spend a month building a feature, you ship it, and over the next few weeks signups climb nicely. Obvious, the feature is working. Except you shipped it in a season when your signups climb anyway, or right as a busy stretch of the year started, or the same week a mention somewhere sent a wave of new visitors your way. The feature and the growth are correlated. They move together, but the feature may have done little or none of the actual work. Without something to compare against, you simply cannot separate the two. The price change during a marketing push, or take a pricing decision. You raise your price and, to your relief, revenue holds steady, so you conclude customers were happy to pay more. But you raise the price during a marketing push that was pulling in fresh demand at the same time. Two things changed at once, the price and the traffic, and the result you are celebrating could be the traffic quietly covering for a price that actually cost you some customers. When two changes overlap, any outcome you get belongs to both of them, and you cannot hand the credit to just the one you happen to care about. What a confounder is, that hidden extra thing has a name, a confounder. It is a third factor that moves both of the things you are looking at, and it makes them look connected when neither is really driving the other. The season drove both your feature launch timing and your signups. The marketing push drove both your confidence and your revenue. A confounder is the reason two honest numbers can march together for a while and still have no real link between them. Most false conclusions in a small business trace back to one of these, sitting just outside the frame you are looking at. Small samples make it worse, and the less data you have, the more of this you will suffer. With a handful of signups, or a few dozen sales, coincidences are everywhere, because small numbers swing wildly on their own. A good week right after your change looks like cause and effect, when it is the same random bounce you would have seen anyway. The smaller your business, the more often two lines will drift together by pure chance, and the more disciplined you have to be about not reading a story into plain noise. Correlation can run backwards. Another trap is direction. Even when two things really are linked, you can get the arrow the wrong way round. Say customers who use a certain feature churn less than the ones who do not. It is tempting to conclude the feature keeps people around, so push everyone toward it. But maybe it is the already committed customers who bother to use that feature in the first place, and their loyalty causes the usage, not the other way around. The correlation is real, and the causation points the opposite way from the one that flatters your roadmap. Sometimes it is pure coincidence, and sometimes there is no link at all. If you track enough numbers about your business, some pair of them will move together for a stretch for no reason on earth. With dozens of metrics on a dashboard, a few will always be drifting in step this month purely by chance, the way flipping enough coins guarantees a streak somewhere. A correlation you went hunting for across many numbers is far weaker evidence than one you predicted in advance. Why a control test beats a coincidence. This is the whole reason a control test is worth the trouble. Instead of watching one number after you change something and guessing, you split your audience, give the change to one group and not the other at the same time and compare. Because the season, the weather, the marketing push and every other confounder hit both groups equally. The only thing left that differs between them is the change itself. A gap between the two groups can finally be pinned on the thing you did, which is exactly what staring at a single line can never give you. The control group, in plain terms, a control group is just the part of your audience that does not get the change running alongside the part that does. It is the answer to the only question that really matters: what would have happened anyway? If signups rose 10% for the group that got your feature, and also rose 10% for the group that did not, the season did the work, not your feature. The control is how you subtract the world back out of your result, so that what remains is the effect of your decision and not the effect of the calendar. Track the base rate first. When you cannot run a clean test, the next best habit is checking the base rate. Before you credit a change, ask what this number normally does at this time. If signups always climb in this stretch of the year, a climb right after your launch is not news. If revenue is usually flat here, flat revenue proves nothing about your new price. Knowing your own normal, the ordinary level you would expect with no change at all, is what lets you judge whether a result is genuinely surprising or just this week doing what this week always does. Wait for enough data. Patience is the other cheap defense. A lot of false causes come from acting on a few days of movement before the numbers have settled into what they really are. A change looks like a triumph on Tuesday and a disaster by Friday, and both readings are mostly noise. Give any result enough people and enough time to stop bouncing before you decide what it means. The urge to declare a winner early is really the urge to be fooled, because the early numbers are exactly when pure chance has its loudest voice in the room. Change one thing at a time. You also make your own life impossible when you change several things at once. New pricing, a new homepage and a new email, all in the same week, and then some number moves. You have no way to know which one did it, or whether they cancelled each other out and something else entirely deserves the credit. Change one thing, let it settle, read the result, then change the next. It feels slow, but it is the only way each result points at a single cause you can actually learn from and carry forward into the next decision. The honest test before you act. So before you act on any two lines that happen to move together, I run 3 questions. Could something else, a season's or a promotion's, or plain luck, have caused both of them? Did I change more than one thing at the same time? And would this number probably have moved anyway, with or without me? If a result survives all 3, it is worth trusting. If it stumbles on any of them, treat it as a hypothesis to test properly, not a fact to build on. Those 3 questions catch most of the ways a coincidence talks a solo operator into a bad call. What correlation can still do for you? None of this means correlations are useless, and that is worth saying clearly. A correlation is a wonderful place to start. It points you at a question worth asking and a change worth testing. The mistake is not noticing that 2 things move together. It is stopping right there and calling it a cause. Treat every correlation as a lead, not a verdict, something that earns a proper test rather than an immediate decision. And the same pattern that used to fool you quietly becomes the thing that tells you what to test next. The limits and the honest limit on all of it. Even a clean test only tells you that a change caused an effect for these people, over this window, on this one metric. It does not promise the same effect on different customers, or that it lasts forever, or that some bigger force will not swamp it next quarter. Causation is a stronger claim than correlation, but it is still a claim about the specific thing you measured, not a law of nature. Hold it firmly enough to act on and loosely enough to change your mind when the world shifts under it. Where the details live. Every explainer lives in writing at dataresearchanalysiscollection.com. In plain English, with the small sample cautions and the founder examples laid out more fully than I can here. I keep it honest there on purpose. No guaranteed lifts and no promises about your results, because the whole point of separating correlation from causation is to stop selling yourself a story. Read it slowly with your own numbers in front of you, and you will start catching the coincidences before they cost you anything. John there Jumwins Asam, the maker. Correlation means 2 things move together. Causation means one of them made the other happen, and your mind will upgrade the first into the second the moment you look away. Confounders like a season or a marketing push move both numbers and fake a link. Small samples make coincidences common, and the arrow can even run backwards. A controlled test with a control group is what separates a real cause from a lucky one. And when you cannot run one, check the base rate, wait for enough data, and change one thing at a time. Next time I want to talk about cohort analysis and how watching groups over time tells you things a single snapshot never will. I will see you in the next one.